I'd like to welcome you to BOI Meets Wellness, a podcast that discusses the complexities, celebrations, and challenges of building a wellness ritual as a BOI, a person who is born obviously incredible. You are now listening to BOI Meets Wellness with poet, motivational speaker, and wellness lover, Evolve Benton.
BOI, born obviously incredible, especially when you wear it pretty.
Hello, BOI Meets Wellness community, and happy Friday. I hope you are all staying safe and enjoying your summer. Today's episode features Uzo. Uzo was born in Nigeria, lived in Spain for 4 years, and moved to the United States in 1997. She lived in New York for over 15 years, and now she lives in Los Angeles. She's one of the co-founders of the amazing clothing brand, Stuzo Clothing. Her passion has always been in the evolution of consciousness. Uzo believes that we are an expression of life itself, and we deserve the space to express it as we see fit. Before we jump into the interview, as usual, I have a wellness tip for you this week. The wellness tip of this week is to do more instead of doing less when it comes to your nutrition goals. At least that's what I've been trying to tell myself. Instead of framing things around I'll eat less sugar or add less salt, I have planned to eat more fruit and more vegetables. I invite you to at least eat one fruit or vegetable in every meal for every day for a week. Just normally eat, you ain't got to do nothing extra. And journal about it, right? Like, how does that feel? Notice the meals that hide in your energy or cause you to feel more lethargic, more tired. A good friend of mine, a wellness coach, John Hemingway, taught me this, and it's called mindful eating. So many weight loss and nutrition plans are based off of cutting and lowering, which just doesn't work for me. It really puts me in a lack mindset, which pushes me to negativity when it comes to some of my abundance goals. So I figure if I eat more fruits and vegetables, I might be fuller and actually crave less snacks that don't serve my goals of leaning out. So try our wellness tip of the week. Instead of doing less, do more to reach your nutrition goals. And let us know how it goes. Check us out. Send us an email to boimeetswellness@gmail.com. And please let us know how this works for you. I hope this tip brings you closer to living an incredible journey. If you like what you are hearing, please thank our sponsors, Mar Media Productions, by heading over to boygearstore.com and purchase some of our boy gear. We got water bottles to keep you hydrated, journals to support with your reflection, and backpacks for you to put all the money you're going to be bringing in 2020. So head over to boygearstore.com and use code SUMMER, SUMMER, for 20% off. Today's episode is brought to you by Mar Media Productions. Mar Media is a media production team that produces, publishes, and uplifts the stories, art, and journeys of queer and trans people of color and the people who make our lives incredible. Now for the interview. Have a great day. Hello, world. Welcome to BOI Meets Wellness. Hella excited about today's interview. Welcoming Uzo from Stuzo Clothing. Can you introduce yourself to the BOI Meets Wellness community with your name, pronoun, and what brings you joy?
Yes, of course. My name is Uzo. I go by she, they. And what brings me joy is what brings me joy? What brings me joy? Life. I guess, I think. What brings me everything? Food. I love food. I love what brings me joy? Being alive. I think that brings me joy. Every time I wake up, I'm really happy about that.
That's beautiful. So
Thank you.
the thing that I really appreciate about your energy, so I met you I think this was the end of last year, and I was shooting a video. And what I really appreciate about your energy in that moment and even now is it was very much in the present. I think I asked you even then a very similar question of how you're doing and what brings you joy. And you went really into the center of how you're feeling right now. I could tell that was happening. So we've been talking to a lot of folks about COVID-19 and what's going on with folks and their spirits. So what are some of the things you're doing around your well-being practice to make sure that you're able to stay present?
It's for me, what I do is I meditate, I do yoga, I go on walks. I surround myself with affirming language and people. I sort of for me, my state of mind is really important to me. So I do not digest the hysteria and the fear based media platform, like media, yeah, information anyway. I spend a lot of time in silence because it's important for me to connect to my inner voice and my inner guide more than receiving information from outside that would disrupt my peace, you know? So,
I say to
yes.
that.
Yeah, so I'm very, very intentional as to what I put in my body and what information I allow to go in and what I attach meaning to and things like that.
So it must take I say anytime you see a beautiful being that's aligned, there's a powerful village behind it, right? So who are the people in your life that make your life incredible? If you had like a gratitude list, who would be the like top 3 people that you would put on there?
That's a beautiful list. I appreciate that very much. I think that on someone that's on the top of my list is Des Davis. She's a life coach, and she has her and I actually what this journey that I'm on, and started with her, working with her a couple years ago. I felt activated to sort of start, like I was unhappy with my life and I didn't know it, and things were happening. And so when I realized I wasn't feeling well, like I didn't feel good anymore, and as things started to happen, I became aware of myself being unhappy. So I sort of started thinking, I opened myself up to the idea of like getting assistance to actually understand what's happening. So I went to like I knew Des through friends, and so she was always around. And then her and I had a conversation once, and just from that conversation, no, I like she was somewhere. I purchased like a consultation to kind of see what it is that she did because I didn't really know anything about life coaches at the time. And when we met, just the initial conversation we had, I felt there was such a strong connection as far as like, hey, this is, what's happening for you. And I was able to take that. And then sort of here I am years later, and I really went deep into the work of really discovering why I was unhappy and what was happening in my life and what I was doing that was contributing to being unhappy. So Des Davis of the Rich Witch Life is like one of my best friends right now, and also like sort of my like a really big support system through this process through my life. And so she's definitely someone that's on the top of the list. As far as the support system, I have a therapist. I do yoga. I do everything. I have my aunt. I have people I talk to. So I really think it's important that we diversify our love and find and like not just look to our partners or our wives and husbands and others to fulfill all these needs that we all need, that we all have. So I would say those people are the like I have a group of people in place that I go to for support to sort of guide me through this. And I realize that it's really important to have a support system because if you are to align your mind, your body, and your soul, and you're going through a healing process, everybody matters. Like you need to have different people that can support you in different ways.
I love this idea of diversifying your love, and
Mm-hmm.
I've never really heard of it in this way, especially in the sense of when you're asking for support. And I feel like as a masculine centered person, it's so hard for me sometimes to just even ask for what I need. And sometimes I even get frustrated in the sense of I want someone to read my mind. I get into
Yeah,
this little buzz of like, I wish I just didn't have to say it, right? But it's so
yeah,
I think
you
it's
have
so
to.
loving to ask, right? Like that's an act of love is to ask for that support. So wow.
Yeah, I mean, I think that what I've learned through this journey is that like now, if I'm having a challenging moment, I have friends that I'm like, I need support right now. Like specific people, specific different that regard depending on what it is that I need support for, I will send a text to say I need support right now, and someone will call and I'll process and release because I think that we move through the world acting as if our feelings don't matter, as if we don't have feelings, as if like as like let's say you go through a heartbreak, right? And you're just supposed to just go what drink, party, and be okay. It's like it literally feels like a heartbreak. So you have to like honor it. You have to like pay attention to it. You have to do the crying. You have to do the releasing, even if it's just an argument with someone. Find support somewhere where you can actually hear yourself dissect what happened and how did you allow yourself, how did you show up in that conversation. Like it takes you have to be accountable for your life, and you have to ask for what you need, and especially support, because I think that that's how we heal. That's how we feel validated. That's how we feel seen, feel held. These are all the things that we need as human beings.
Wow, thank you so much for taking us to a deeper level on your gratitude list and on your journey. So I heard you say that you got a life a life coach, right? I'm about to conflate the both. You got a life coach, and then you also have a therapist. So was have you always had the pairing? Did you ever think to yourself, do I need both? Which one do I need more? Like, because normally when I hear folks, it's either or. And this
Mhm.
concept of almost having like this collective team is really powerful for me. So I just want to hear more about like your decision making around.
For me, getting the life coach was something that I did in the beginning, and she's my best friend now, and she happens to be an amazing life coach. So right, and what I have is a therapist also to sort of support the process and what it is that specifically what I'm going through. Like I go into my therapist my sessions with an intention of like I'm coming in here to move through something that I'm having a challenge moving through. And so as far as like the decision made, I mean, as far as like having both, I understand it's like everyone doesn't may not have the luxury to be able to have both. And I think just having one is good. You don't need both. You can have one or the other. And in addition, also there we all have people in our lives that can serve in a bigger capacity in our lives if we allow them to. So I think that yeah, I mean it's just a matter of like making the decision, choosing. I think I'm not sure. I feel like I might have lost my thought there. But yeah, that's all I have to say for that right now.
No worries. So let's talk a little bit about like who you are, where did you grow up, and what is like your your nuclear family, like your family that you grew up around as a young person. What is their relationship to money? Because I'm always interested in people's like you know abundance journeys. That's what I like to
Hmm.
call it.
Yeah. Well, I was born in Nigeria. I lived there till I was about 12 years old. Then I moved to Spain with my aunt, and then moved to New York in '97. So, like, my formative years was spent in Nigeria with my father, mother, and my siblings. And we didn't have a lot of money. So, for us, it was sort of like about being, for me, I grew up being taught how to just go reaching for being excellent at whatever it was that you did. You had to be excellent. You had to be, excellent. And I remember, as far as money, like I'm now, I've unpacked my relationship with money, because it's a specific thing that I didn't know that I had a whole identity, I had an entirely different like the way I saw money in my head and how I was moving in the world didn't match. So I had to find a way to merge the two. And the way to do that was that I had to look at my relationship to money. And as far as my family structure, I think that it was never really talked about as that money being this most important thing. It was just something that we knew that we could get. If we showed up in this excellent version of ourselves, then we would have access to all these things and be able to live the lives we want, which is like, which actually makes sense. But at the same time, without really having a guide of what to do or how to do things, it gets a little complicated and messy. And so as far as my relationship with money now, what I've done is I've cleaned up all the narratives that made money more important than my life or my dreams and things like that, so that money becomes just becomes a tool again, and not something that motivates me to move and do things. Is that clear?
Yeah, that makes hella sense. I was watching one of your Instagram videos recently, and you said, we have to put our well-being first, right? It should be the top priority. And I think one of the things you said, it was like even over money. And I can only imagine so many people watching that and almost like, grasping their imaginary pearls, because it's like, what? But like, what was that process like? And maybe some tips that you can give the audience for folks who might be trying to shift their mindset a little bit. I'd like to say like getting away from the lack mindset, because I feel like that's some of the things that I've been working through. Because if you see it as a tool, it doesn't have that same, it doesn't have
power,
a lack.
yeah.
Exactly. It doesn't have a lack concept on it, right? It doesn't have the same power. So can you provide some tips for folks that maybe you utilize to serve yourself?
Well, I think as far as tips, it's really unconditioning your mind. It's really about the true freedom exists when you liberate your mind, when you take back control of your mind. What I had to do was, on a daily basis, every time that I had thoughts that were not affirming, I had to stop myself and change it right away and find a better feeling thought, find a better feeling, you have to literally reprogram your mind. And like, for me, I think it was when I landed on it was when I thought about the idea of something that was created by human beings being more powerful than the people who created it. That made no sense to me. I felt like it makes no sense for us to value something that we created more than ourselves, more than our own well-being, we literally have life coursing through our veins. Like, we are alive. We are a human being. So an inanimate object, something that is created, that doesn't grow, that doesn't move, that is a piece of paper, cannot be more powerful than we are. It just cannot. So I think the biggest work is to really understand, really dissecting, what are you valuing? What are your value? What is your value system? What is it that because when COVID hit and all these, people are scrambling around and figuring out like, oh, wow, the idea that we have worked, we live in a society that promotes working for 40 hours a week, working 60 hours. There are generations, people that have been working for so long, that having that towards that channels money towards a system that does not promote, that does not care about our well-being. It's sort of like, it just doesn't make sense, and we cannot continue to contribute to that system anymore. We cannot continue we can't continue to move forward, grow and evolve, and also play that game anymore, because it's so rigged. It doesn't work. It doesn't support life. It doesn't support anything other than its own progression and maintaining whatever it's been built, whatever they've built. So anyway, for the sake of not rambling on and continuing and just going off, a tangent, I will stop right there.
No, I appreciate that. I really do, because the folks need to hear it. So this takes us on your journey, right? Because I mean, you're not sticking with the system, right? Like, you're an entrepreneur. You've created an amazing brand, and I know that that's not the beginning of that journey. So can you tell us a little bit about, like, when did you start, thinking about wanting to own your own business, just ownership in general? And, like, maybe, like, what was your, like, first business? Like, we've talked to some folks and, like, I had a lemonade stand. Somebody was like, I used to sell dime sacks. Everybody has a different upcoming.
Yeah. Yeah. I think that for me, I've always sort of, when I when I started working, I was working at bars and restaurants and in New York. And then I started managing restaurants. And then, so it's always been about, and every time I've gone into a place that I've worked in, I've always been the overachiever, the one that wanted to do things right and sort of wanted to elevate the space I was in and wanted to sort of see it succeed, whatever it was that I was working in. So I feel like that's always been the thing. So as far as business, I didn't set out to say, hey, I'm an entrepreneur and I'm going to do this. I've just sort of been present for life, I suppose. And wherever I found myself in, I always wanted to be the best at it. And then with all that said, it's sort of like going into Stuzo. Stuzo was Stuzo started out as graphic print apparel. My partner at the time had a design, and we got into a relationship with each other. And she had like the logo and a few designs, and I was like, oh well, I saw the potential of it, and I was like, oh, I can help you with that. And then as it sort of grew, the more work we put into it, then it sort of grew into where we founded Stuzo together. And then it became its own. I feel like as Stuzo evolved, it sort of showed my evolution also, because I was very much more feminine presenting years ago, and as I evolved into my real true self, it's sort of like Stuzo sort of showed that and showed the growth of that. And and I moved and I continued to create from that place. So I think that as far as I always want to be authentic. That's whatever it is that I do. I always want it to be real. I always wanted to have integrity, and I always have wanted to be of where something that I create that supports and moves the conversation forward. Like has always been a thing that I love doing. As I look at my life and the things that I've chosen to do so far.
That's beautiful that you're able to see your own, like, transition of self within your company, right? And the fact that it's, like, grounded in fashion. So have you, like, like, when you were at the bars where people always like, yo, that's a fly outfit. Like, have you always been fashion forward? Are you that part of the team, right? Because there's always different teammates when we talk about companies. So are you more of the creative side? Or are you the more operational side?
Well, I'm a little bit of everything. I think that for Stuzo, what I did was mostly I did the operational side and also the creative side. A lot of the designs that's out there, a lot of them, I was a part of the creative process. So it's sort of like, I think that my creative process works in in ways in which I sort of just create what I want to see. I create from a place from how I would want to feel wearing something, how I want to look wearing something. So I've never really thought that I was actually going to go into the fashion industry. I think that right before I met my business partner, I think I had a friend who was talking about starting a t-shirt line, and I was just like, oh my God, if I hear one more person talk about t-shirt a t-shirt clothing company, I'm gonna lose my mind. And then come to find out, this is like, life is funny that way. And but I ended up getting into the fashion industry. And the thing about it for me, what I loved mostly about Stuzo it's not was that it wasn't a conventional clothing line. It was more about the message. It was about about affirming us as human beings and sort of like presenting us as we are without playing in and without buying into whatever they had, whatever already existed,
Yeah, it was like
So
pushing
yeah,
back against whatever narrative was out. That's what I
yeah,
really appreciate about y'all. Like, somebody will say one thing and y'all gonna have the other side of it, right? Like,
yeah, exactly.
they got "Make America Great." You're gonna be "Make America Black." Like, we know you're gonna
Mhm.
come with the hit back and give us something to wear to push back on the narrative. So that
Yeah,
is
yeah.
hella appreciated. So, what would you say, like, is your day to day? Like, are you still daily, like, with the company, or have you navigated more out? But what is like the day to day of like your entrepreneur life?
Well, this is, I haven't said this publicly, only a few people know about what I'm about to tell you, but I have decided to leave Stuzo. And what I am doing is I am working on a few other projects of my own. And I have, because it was, so my day to day entails sort of, I'm in the building phase right now of the next decade of my life. So what it looks like is a lot of reading, a lot of meditating, a lot of studying, a lot of like creating from where I'm inspired, and where I'm creating from I'm creating again. So I'm in the lab. I'm creating again. So
In
I'm
the creative
excited.
mode, yeah.
Yes, 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 yes. So my day to day entails a lot of reading, a lot of studying, and just creating. Yeah.
Thank you so much for sharing that with our community. I know it takes a lot of like courage to speak things that we're like manifesting right in our journeys and to
Hmm.
speak them out loud. So thank you for that. And I hope that transition is beautiful, is abundant, and gives you clarity and love in the places that you need it. So in regards to this new project, and I know you ain't gonna give us too much on it. I have seen you asking for a lot of resources on Instagram around like mental health and who's doing this and who's doing what. So I'm
Hmm.
wondering, with that, like, we do have a lot of like, mental health professionals and practitioners that listen to the show. Shouts out to UCSF. That's where I work at the School of Medicine, and a few of my colleagues listen to it there. Is there anything that particularly you're looking for? Because I know you're building a database that
Yeah.
people can support you with. Because I think this is a great opportunity to let folks know.
Yes, yes. I have currently building a website called New Narratives. Under this platform, why I'm looking for resources and things like that is that I'm creating a directory slash database for wellness and well-being for Black people. I mean, any race can definitely hire any of the people that I have on the platform. The intention was I started when I doing the videos and talking about like the things that I learned along the way. I realized that we need support in order to move through a healing process. So I thought that I would create a space where I could refer people to and say, hey, we have therapists here, we have Reiki practitioners here, we have healers, we have yoga instructors here who are Black and who are able to who are Black, and also within the under the platform I do everyone I'm inviting to be a part of the directory has to offer something for free for Black people, and also be able to trade services amongst each other. So it's sort of creating a space where you can have access to Black people who are in the well-being to create support for yourself, so that we can all move through this healing process with support, because we need each other to actually move through this, to move through any part of, in order for us to be able to make decisions for our lives, we have to do the work to heal, because if not, we're going to continue making decisions from our conditioning and from the pain and from the influences from everybody else's thought process, and we'll not live a fulfilling life, which is the whole point. We're here to actually live our lives. I think that we are our ancestors we are the experiencers of our ancestors' like hard work. And I see a lot of us are in pain, and that's what stops us from actually reaching for the stars, reaching for the lives we want, creating spaces, creating things that creating the kind of life we're proud of, you know, and to live a more effortless and luxurious and fruitful life. I think that we have, as Black people on this planet, I think we have worked our asses off, and I think it's time that we start enjoying ourselves.
This is beautiful. Yeah, man. I mean, this healing the healer, I talk to my partner about this all the time because we're part of a healing circle, and we hold space for folks often within our work that it's a lifelong journey, right?
It is.
And you meet people, and it's so amazing. I met you and this warm energy. I meet healers all the time and I'm attracted to them, right? And I think that folks who are in the work we're almost summoned to it when our communities need it the most. And you creating this type of database is so needed for right now, because I'm thinking about just what we're going to be post COVID. A lot of folks don't even know a lot of the separation, the trauma that's happening, and like you said, the hysteria, the being stuck to the phone, and the condition it's going to put some of our communities in. We're going to need this type of resource because, like you
Yeah.
said, it's gonna need to be a village. We can no longer just put all this energy on our spouses or on our children, right? Like we have to do this collective healing. So what drove you to this concept, right? And you don't have to tell me like, oh, I was hurting this way. That's not really what I mean by it, but more of a sense of like, where was your moment of inspiration, and what would you say is something you would tell to a person who's maybe at that moment where they're feeling like it's either left or right? Like it's either good or bad. Really, that nuance type of place in their healing process.
Well, I'm sorry. Ask the question again.
So I was wondering where are you at in your current healing process, and like what stemmed you to really start thinking more about like well-being, and
Mm-hmm.
what would you provide as some insight for someone who might be in that place right now, right? Because I feel like you
Yeah, yeah.
kind of spoke a little bit about the journey and getting here and being here, and I can
Mm-hmm.
see the here is new, but a lot of folks don't know that, right? So just
Mm-hmm.
more of that journey.
For me, I think that really for me it was that the realization that I thought my life was going in one direction, and having a catalyst happen. And this is also like a question that I always wonder, if we need a catalyst to happen in order for us to actually want change for ourselves. Do we need
Mm.
to hit rock bottom? Do we need that? And I think that a lot of us do, because we haven't seen it modeled any other way, and everybody's on their own personal journey. Or where we haven't seen what it looks like for someone who's aware. I don't know. It's there. I'm still unpacking a lot of things and learning a lot of things as to what we need or what it takes to actually bring change into our lives. But I had a catalyst happen, something really traumatic happen, which exposed a lot of things, a lot of how I was living my life and in which ways I was participating. I mean, it was my life. So I had a hand in all the things that were happening. And I did, but I wasn't aware that I was doing these things. So I think it was the shock, and the shock of like, how did I get here? How did I not see this happen coming? Or how could something like this happen in my life? Who was watching? Who was keeping watch? So I think it was just the initial having that catalyst introduced into my life in the form of, in so many different forms. I mean, in one specific form, which I don't want to talk about. But
Nope, you don't
yeah,
have to at all.
yeah. But I think that everybody has a catalyst, that rock bottom moment where it's just like, why is this happening? So anyway, it happened, and I was able to, like, I was broken open.
Hmm.
So being broken open is what caused me to want to find out, to get information. And I was, all in my feelings and hurt and feeling hurt and all these things. And it was important for me to take a moment to not just point fingers and really understand what is happening, and through that process and just not giving up. When I realized that I didn't feel good, I just wanted to feel better. So I did everything I needed to do to feel better.
That's beautiful. Make sure, folks, make sure you're doing the self-work to love on yourself and not making sure everyone else is okay without making sure you're okay. So let's give some folks a little bit of tips about like clothing line, because I know, like you just said, like not another t-shirt line. We all inspired to wear our own fashion, right? What are some tips you would give for folks trying to like go down that aisle of creating like a fashion brand? What what are some of the challenges, some of the failures?
I think for me, I think if you're going to create anything, whether it's a clothing brand or anything, is that let it be something you do for free. Let it be, create clothes that you want to wear, create clothes that you want to see in the world, create your own personal style, like figure out what you really want to put out there. And I think that once you have that part, the rest you can hire everybody to do the rest, which is just business, right? Because if the biggest part is making sure that what you're putting out there, you're putting out there because you want to see it out there, not because you're trying to put it out there for other people to see, to validate it or to say, yay, I like it or not. I mean, yeah, you can test products, but whatever you put out there, just make sure it's something that comes from you and it's from your perspective, because we need more diversity. Like when it comes to different things, we need more different than the same, because the world has been created on this binary narrative, and everybody's trying to do what works and what sells. That's no longer enough. We want more new ideas. Because everybody, we don't need to be replicating what everybody else is doing, because your point of view matters. My point of view matters. I want to know what your point of view is about. And I think that making sure that you hire people, making sure that you're paying your taxes, making sure that you get the support you need through whatever it is that you're creating.
Exactly. Building the structure and keeping it authentic. You better tell them. So here on the show, we're all about manifestation. We're all about bringing things forward. So I'm going to ask you the question, where do you see yourself in the next 5 years? Where are we going to see you? What are we calling in right now?
Oh, what are we calling in the next 5 years? The next 5 years is yet to be. It's in the process of being created. It's in the process of being created. So as far as calling it in, what am I calling in the next 5 years? Abundance, affluence. I'm calling in an unlimited flow of abundance. Yeah. I want ease. I'm calling in ease in all my projects. I'm calling in, abundance in all my projects. I'm calling in peace and harmony to flow through everything that I do.
I'm calling that in too. I could definitely see you relaxing and chilling and loving on yourself. So before we go into our final segment of the show, which is kind of like a fill in the blank, it's a fun part of the show called Boy Talk and Hop. Is there anything else that you would like to let our audience know?
Yes, that there's nothing you can add or take away that would make you more worthy, because you already are.
Oh, that was beautiful. I felt that. I felt that in my soul. I'm gonna take that one and write it. I'm gonna take that one and write it down. For real, we need affirmations, right?
Yes,
That tell us our divineness is meant to be here. So let's jump into Boy Talk and Hop. I'm gonna give you a phrase, and you're gonna give me whatever word or set or phrase that comes after that. So, example is I would say like money is, and you would say money is abundant, or whatever word you would choose to use for that. So, ready to jump in? All right. So the first phrase is ownership is.
Ownership is okay, is ownership is peace.
My favorite food is
Jerk chicken.
Yum, yum, yum.
It's so good.
Healing is.
Whew. Life, peace,
Love is.
air, everything.
If you could spend the day with anyone, dead or alive, who would it be and what would you do?
Prince, just have a conversation.
Man, he would. Ooh, you just brought up the one person. I get emotional every time. I really wish I would have got to see him before he left.
Listen, I didn't know how much he meant to me before. Like I still want that. It really is. It's like I thought he was gonna live forever. I really did.
I did too. I didn't. I never. Yeah.
I wasn't ready at all.
None of us were. We weren't. We didn't use our time wisely on that one. The next one is my favorite book is.
So many to choose from. Oh my gosh. A New Earth by Eckhart Tolle.
Nice. What's that about?
Everything. The evolution. It's the future. It's about now. It's everything. It's about everything. It's called A New Earth. Yeah. It's I think it's no, I think it sort of just moves you through unpacking and sort of getting a clear picture of what is possible. Yeah.
I like that. I'm gonna have to check that one out. I'm gonna make sure I put that in the show notes so other folks can check it out too. So the last really couple of them, money is
a tool. Money will always come. Money will always flow if you open up the your chakras and open up your flow. It will always come. Money will always come. I know that's not an is, but I felt like saying that. Hope that's okay.
It's beautiful. And last but never least, Uzo is
life.
Beautiful, fam. Thank you so much for being here.
For all
that you do, for your new journey. I'm very excited about it and definitely interested in supporting you in any way that we can. This was amazing.
Thank you.
I appreciate it.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much for having me. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. I hope you got what you needed. Thank you very much for having me.
Thank you so much for listening to BOI Meets Wellness. You can listen to more episodes and become even more incredible by heading over to boimeetswellness.com and checking out some of our resources. We really appreciate you. Have an incredible day.
My name is Uzo, and I was born, obviously, incredible.
Thanks for listening to BOI Meets Wellness. Stay connected on and off the show by following us online at BOI Meets Wellness. That's boy with an I. Until next time, go be incredible.